Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be reacting to this kid, Paul James. He's been making YouTube video for a while, it seems. He's got almost 300K subscribers. Much respect to the YouTube grind. I've seen him for a while. He covers a lot of different topics of like how to make money online. Like he just talked about crypto, NFTs, all these different things. And I've noticed that he's making lead generation business kind of content. So I'm going to react to one of his videos and see if our opinions differ at all when it comes to the lead gen business. So let's go take a look.
Today, I'm going to show you how to get your lead generation business up and running as quick as possible. So grab a notepad and pen and let's jump in and get started. Let's start by talking about exactly what lead generation is. So if you've ever been to like Home Advisor, Angie's List, Porch, or Thumbtack, then you probably have already actually seen lead generation work. Here's what I mean. If you're a homeowner and you need some work done on your roof or on your furnace, you need to find a contractor that is capable of doing those repairs. And the contractor, they're looking for someone like you to hire them. So that's where a lead generation company comes into play. A lead generation business is just the process of connecting that homeowner with a business owner that's capable of doing the work. So starting a lead generation business is just like being a middleman. You're just making connections with homeowners and business owners, and you're just getting paid for doing that. So how much can you actually make from the lead generation business? The lead generation business, according to Google, is projected to generate $201 billion in 2023, up from $129 billion in 2019. Now, if you go and look at some of the big companies like Home Advisor, you can
There's so many different ways of doing lead generation as well. Home Advisor is obviously a lead generation company. Thumbtack, Yelp, these are all lead generation at the end of the day. But when we're talking about doing lead generation ourselves, it's a completely different thing. And I like ranking organically in Google because it's the most passive way to run a lead generation business. Other people do lead generation running paid ads. It seems like Paul James is doing our model as well of ranking organically in Google. So let's see what he has to say.
can see they're doing an annual revenue of 427 million. That's just one single company. Picture if you could just get just a single like percentage of what they're doing. You'd be pretty well off, right? All right, so now let's talk about the things that we're gonna need to get started if we wanna quickly get our lead generation business off the ground starting from scratch. So we're gonna need a niche, okay? A market that we're going to decide to generate leads in. We're gonna need a location, so like the area that we're gonna generate the leads in. And we're gonna need a website. That's where people are going to come and find us, and then we're going to be able to match them with a business owner. Now, if you're anything like me, when I started, you're probably thinking, I don't know how to build websites. That's okay, because every website that I've actually built for this business model uses a drag and drop editor called WordPress, which allows you to get websites up that look like this one.
WordPress, yes, obviously you can use WordPress to build lead gen sites. It's not the best web builder out there. There's better ones that's faster, loads faster. Some of the issues with WordPress is that it can easily get hacked. Our program, we offer our own web build, but there's other ones out there as well. What's nice about our builder is that we already have all the different lead generation like templates depending on the niche that you want to get into, which saves a lot of time. And it's also very easy to like duplicate sites. We also build a bunch of different widgets that increases conversions, like a chat box in the lower right to increase engagement. And like you can ask questions to the bot, different questions, and then it'll answer them. So yeah, but you can still build this business with WordPress. It's not my favorite, and it's a little clunky, a little slow. There's way sleeker web builders out there today when it comes to lead gen websites.
This is one of my websites, up and running without knowing how to program or code or anything. Basically, if you can type out an email like in a Gmail account, or
I don't like how thin his content is. If I'm building a lead gen site, like content, I go hard on the content on the homepage, and there's so many different ways to find the keywords and the topics that you must cover so that Google looks at you as an authority. What Paul James is showing here, this is like doing the bare minimum. This is not going to allow you to rank in more medium to more heavier competitive niches.
or a Microsoft Word document, then you can build a website like this. But we'll talk more about that later. So knowing all that, where is it that you actually start if you want to get this entire thing off the ground? I usually recommend you start off with the niche selection. Here's what I typically do.
A niche selection is like, yeah, one of the most important steps in the whole process.
So most people going into this think that they need to think of a niche that nobody else has ever thought of. But actually, that can be further from the truth. What I recommend you do is I recommend you look at what the popular lead generation niches already are, and you just pick one of those.
You don't want to go into handyman because it's spammed too much. You don't want to go to moving either because it's spammed a lot. There's different niches that you definitely want to avoid. You don't want to just go to the popular niches just because it's popular on Thumbtack. I don't think that's a good strategy. There's so many niches that you want to avoid.
And you can do this by going and looking at some of the popular lead generation companies. It'll actually show you, like on Home Advisor, what niches they are targeting right now, and
We talk about like plumbing and roofing niche all the time because it's like the easiest for you guys to understand, like home services. But roofing and plumbing, I still won't even recommend that for a beginner because it's like there's a lot of plumbing companies, like you got Roto-Rooter, roofing companies. There's a lot of big companies with big marketing budgets that have really strong websites. So honestly, like these are not great model niches to get into, just quiet as kept.
You can just pick one that resonates with you. Same goes with Angie's List, which is now rebranded to Angie. You can see.
No, this is lead generation. This is not like creating a passionate blog where you want to write about something you're passionate about. You're literally getting into this business just to make money, passive income, so that you can quit your job, get to 10K, 15, 20K a month, so that you can go live out your passions. You're not in this business to do something that resonates with you. We don't care about that. We care about what is going to be the most effective, most efficient way to go get passive income. And handyman, not a good niche.
The typical services they offer, what they're priced at. Porch is another one. You could go look there, and Thumbtack. So go and look at one of those 4 websites and pick a niche that's going to resonate with you and that you think you want to work with and get started.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be too critical of Paul James here. I respect that he's trying to provide value out there, but this is ill-advised because the problem with picking the wrong niche is that you can waste the next 3, 4, 5 months trying to build this business on your own. And because you picked the bad niche, you're not going to get results 4 or 5 months later. Next thing you know, you're getting discouraged and you give up on this business and you give up on one of the best online businesses out there. It's ill-advised to advise people to like just pick a niche off of Thumbtack or Home Advisor and go what you resonate with. No, we have a whole process of identifying good niches that have weak competition in the market
with. All right, so after you've decided on a niche, now is the next important phase.
So let me like show you guys as a quick example, right? So for example, if I do, let's just do junk removal, Detroit, let's just do Dayton, Ohio. Okay, so do you see this toolbar? Okay, this toolbar is Ahrefs toolbar. It's one of the things that I use to identify competitive niches. So DR stands for how like strong the website is. RD stands for referring domains. These are all the different websites that are pointing a backlink to these sites. These are very key stats that you want to study to identify a niche with kind of weak competition. Now, Dayton is not necessarily a small city. This site, for example, has 86 RD, which means there's 86 other websites pointing a backlink to this site. And just in layman's term for you guys to quickly understand is like each time a different website points a backlink to your site, powers that site up. But not all backlinks are created equal. So it's not just simple as looking at the number 86. You want to dig a lot deeper than that and understand like what kind of backlinks are they getting. So if we go to Ahrefs here, you can pull up these sites and really analyze them on a deeper level. For example, if I go to Google, I'm also gonna check out that site semicolon, this site, to see how many search results there is. There's 265 pages, so this is a big site. But you have to also understand this site is ranking a off page for Dayton, and this off page only has one referring domain. So this is a site that you can actually beat with less than 86 backlinks because it's ranking a off page with only one referring domain. Whereas this site, see if I go to this page, it's the whole home page is ranked. So this site is ranked higher because it's the whole like home page is dedicated to Dayton, Ohio. Let's look at how many pages they got. See, they only have 9 pages. So that's a good sign because it's not like the top site only has 9. So I'm going to build more authoritative pages than they do. That's only one sign. So then you can go to Ahrefs and begin looking at the backlink quality. Let's take a look at this site. Or yeah, this is fine. So you see how it says no follow links don't really count. And what you want to find what's good quality is if I search the word junk. So places where there's junk in the URL, that's going to be a really relevant, like this is a really good backlink, even though it's no follow because it's coming from a site with junk on it. So these are different backlinks that are going to be really powering the site up. I would save these places and try to see if you can get a backlink there as well. And this is going to help you outrank your competition. We also have different tools that allow us to see different directories and citations that each of these map listings have. Again, Dayton is not a small market, right? And yeah, if you're a brand new beginner and that sounded really confusing for you, don't worry. Like in the beginning, we have different marketplaces and niches where it's much easier, where you don't even need this tool and go this in depth. This is just more for like advanced students. But if you're a brand new beginner, like we have a process for you to pick niches that are much more low hanging fruit and just easier to select.
You want to work with and get started with. All right, so after you've decided on a niche, now is the next important phase, which is deciding on a location that you're going to service with your niche. This is actually pretty important. I'm going to share with you how to make this selection accurately the first time so that you don't make a mistake. So most people think that they have to target one of the bigger cities because that's where all the population is going to be if they want to actually generate a ton of leads. That actually can't be further from the truth. In fact, it's the exact opposite. Sure, you'll generate a bunch of leads there, but the problem is that area will be so competitive with all these other bigger companies focusing on it that in the long run, you probably won't generate that many leads. And it also makes the business a lot less passive if you focus on one of these bigger cities. So I usually just pull up in a Google map of the city I'm thinking about targeting, and instead, I'll look around the surrounding cities. Like over here, we've got Whitefish Bay, or Brookfield, or West Allis, or Cudahy. So I would pick one of
What he's saying is true. Like a huge city like Milwaukee, I would not recommend. That's city size, population size a little too big. But I wouldn't target a city size this small like a Whitefish Bay. You're gonna put in all the effort to building a site that's not gonna generate that much leads. Like some markets could be literally too small. Okay, so keep that in mind.
those areas and combine that with my niche, and that's actually what I would decide on for a location, which is going to make this business very passive. Whenever I pick a
Because if you pick a suburb, like a city like too small and it's trickling, barely generating any leads, there's not enough lead volume for you to convince a business owner or get that person's trust or really impress a business owner. So you actually want a medium-sized market, ideally, that's going to generate like 5-10 calls every day.
suburb that's further out, I still get plenty of leads, and it's usually a case where once I've got it up and running, I'm not having to mess with it all that often. It pretty much just runs and generates leads, and I make money without having to touch it again after I've done the initial work of setting it up. Now, a lot of people ask me, can I do this from this country, or can I do this from that country? And the answer is, it doesn't really matter what country you're in. Not only could you generate leads in your country of choice, but even if you're in another country, let's say India, or let's say China, you could choose to generate leads for companies in the United States. Because this isn't a business model where you're having to meet with people or cold call people. You don't really have to be in the location that you're generating leads on. You can simply look at the Google map like I just did, and just randomly pick somewhere that you think is an area you want to work in just by looking at the map. All right, so now that we've settled on...
Yeah, that's one thing that's dope about this business. You can be anywhere in the world and get clients in the US. So if you're from like a country where the US currency is more leveraged than your country, and imagine bringing the US money over to your country and then it goes up by 20-30% because of the exchange rate, right? It can be really cool that way. But if you can't speak English very well, you might struggle with the sales aspect. You may not, as long as you have the leads. But listen, like we have students from all over the world. Some students partner with other students in our program, and the student and the other partner that lives in the US closes the business owner for them. There's many different ways to do it.
And a location, it's time to actually get our website built. So like I said, I built out this example website right here, which currently has a call volume that would be worth about $700 per month. And it's a very nice looking site. I built it out on WordPress, and WordPress really is easy. And like you literally just come in here and you just type what you want it to say. There's really not much to it. Stuff just moves around.
It's an okay looking site, to be fair. It's 2023. A lot of the site today are looking really sleek. This looks a little dated to me.
If I want to move this down here, you literally just drag and dropping things. So it's pretty easy to actually get started with a website like this.
But that shouldn't stop you guys from building lead gen sites. I have ugly looking sites that are still making good money as well. But I do feel like a really sleek looking site does help with conversion.
Without knowing how to program. Now, if you feel like you're going to need more help with the website side of things,
especially when it's a high ticket niche like roofing, like you're going to spend $5,000-$10,000, you're going to click around multiple different websites. And if a site is really looking outstanding to you, you're going to probably call that company over a site that looks really old.
I actually have a course that's dedicated just to getting your lead generation website set up. And what I'll do is I will leave a discounted version of it in the description below this video. I'll probably limit it to just a handful of copies, so it may sell out pretty quickly. But if you are interested in that, I will leave it in the description below. Inside the course, we build out websites that look just like the one that I showed you from start to finish. So it's a great way to get started if you're new and you've never built out a website like this before, or you're just looking for some...
If you're going into like the towing niche, like the site design doesn't matter a whole lot because most of the conversion happens on the map listing. But if you're like any home service niche, like roofing, asphalt driveways, deck builders, pool builders, like these kind of things, like you really want to like a really good looking site.
some extra tips to build out websites that are aimed towards lead generation, then go ahead and check out that discounted link that I'm leaving just for you in the description of this video. So to recap, the quickest way to start a lead generation business is number one, you're gonna start off by picking your niche. You're gonna go after proven niches that the bigger lead generation companies are already doing. Number two, you're gonna pick a location, but you're not gonna pick a large location. You're going to go and pick one of the smaller suburbs.
Our strategy is a little different. Like, you want to pick a lucrative niche. I'm not a huge fan of going after such a general niche like carpet cleaning, roofer. Like, you can still go into that, but we like picking like unique niches that has a high ticket product, high ticket service. And then I still like to target medium-sized cities. The lowest population city I'll target maybe is like 75,000. The sweet spot is more at least 120,000 population. Like I have a lot of sites in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Grand Rapids, Michigan is 250,000 population. So if you target city sizes too small, like he's mentioning, just because it's small, it's easier competition. Well, if you go too small, you're not going to generate that like enough leads to even get a client. Part of it is if you don't have good skills in ranking your site in Google, you're forced to just go into small markets. But I think you're really going to struggle if you approach this business that way. You're much better off learning the proper skill sets to be able to compete in medium-sized markets.
And then number three, you're going to go and get your website set up so that you can actually start generating leads. Now, if you have any questions that maybe I didn't answer in this video that you were thinking, go ahead and leave a comment below with your question, and I will do my best to create more content or comment back to answer that question. I'll also leave some other videos here that I think you might enjoy.
All right. So what I'll say is this, is that I don't see Paul James as necessarily like world-class when it comes to ranking sites in Google. Otherwise, he would have a huge website that ranks for global keywords, whereas I have Ippei.com, my blog that ranks globally. So I think I'm going to say that my skills in ranking websites in Google is higher level than his is. So it makes sense that his approach to this lead gen business is to just go after super small markets and just pick whatever niche that you like. But I think that's the wrong approach in the lead gen business. Like, you want to pick a good niche that has a high ticket offer, and you want to be able to compete in the medium-sized markets. There is a way to get a lead gen client just ranking in smaller markets, but ideally what you want to do is you want to stack them. So you want to target like city size of 75,000 population, and you want to build like 3 different lead gen properties in 3 different locations, and then point it all at the same client. Therefore, 3 times 75,000 is 225,000 population. So technically, just with more effort and more grinding and building more sites, you can technically get access to bigger population sizes. Yeah, and also when it comes to ranking websites in Google, I'm constantly like testing different things on my giant blog here. I have over 1,000 pages. I have like 25 content writers testing all the different ways that we can take advantage of with Google's like algorithm and their core algorithm updates. So when I figure out new things to take advantage of in the algorithm that works on a global ranking level, best believe when I show it to our students and they apply in the local lead gen space, they're going to be able to dominate. So it just goes to show like the higher level of skill set that you have with ranking websites in Google, the more effective you're going to be at the lead generation business. This is why me and Dan always say skills pay the bills. And most of the elite level players when it comes to ranking in Google have either invested in a course or spent thousands of dollars over years testing different things to figure out their techniques. They're not going to share their hacks and tips and tricks for free on YouTube. A lot of them, they either have a course or they're going to keep their secrets to themselves. So I think it's very foolish to assume that an SEO skill of being able to rank in Google, which is such a lucrative skill, that people will just freely give away their top secrets. Like, everybody knows Neil Patel is like a really famous like SEO guy. Even this guy, he releases a lot of free content on YouTube. He never releases like high level SEO stuff. Like, I just know some of the tips and tricks that he's doing on his site, and some of them are great hack, but he'll never talk about that on his like free YouTube channel. So when it comes to ranking Google, like a lot of the free stuff you see out there is super watered down. But if you're on the outside looking in, look at it that as a really cool thing, because ranking in Google is more of a elite level skill. There's a higher barrier to entry because it's a lot harder to figure out how to do this versus running Facebook ads. Google doesn't want you to know how the algorithm works, which is why this is much higher barrier of entry skill set. But it's also why once you invest in yourself and invest in the time to learn this skill, you're going to be much more valuable in the marketplace and for a lot longer period of time because the skill set is that much more rare. I will talk to you guys later.